Hello and welcome aboard the 90-Day Fiance Omnibus. It's double-decker. As you can see, we do not recommend you go to the roof this time on this day. It is hotter than Satan's butthole up there and out in the worlds today. I will be your driver today, your guide, and my co-pilot, my co-driver is Baby J.
Hey, everybody. Michelle is not lying. It is surface of the sun hot in LA today. It's getting to all our brains out here, but I don't think anything could be as hot as Indonesia, and I felt like I was in Indonesia today.
I don't think anything could be hotter than the hot tub in the HEA reunion weird house, and I felt like I was there today.
Talking about the big Ed of it all?
Y'all, if you're still sleeping on help, I'm in a secret relationship, you need to get on that train. The hosts in the third season, which, again, this show has brought so much joy to us. They've started saying the long distance of it all or the mystery of it all. They just attach of it all to everything, and we've started picking up.
If you can believe it, folks, like hell, I'm in a secret relationship is that's our light viewing right now.
Yeah.
Like all of the stuff we cover here actually ends up being kind of heavy on the heart when we're done.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to catching up with Love is Blind UK, which we are covering.
I was referring more to the 90-day industrial
with
complex.
This stuff. We don't want to set them up, but maybe I think it would be talk about. We have not had a good day. This week has just been a real, I know Mercury's gone retrograde and all that, but even for a Mercury retrograde, this week is like, whoosh, we are feeling it.
It's coming from all sides,
coming from all sides. I just want to say, my part, we've got a little bit of drama. There's still that drama going on with the Airbnb. I am still sleeping on the air mattress. Thank you, Jack and Diana, for your generous hospitality.
Always, Michelle.
Sadly, I have not slept much, and we've all gotten into this weird habit of going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, we have been. Also, if anyone's sleeping, if you have a Peacock subscription and you have not watched the Office Superfan episodes, they all have 10 more minutes of content added. So that's actually what's been keeping everyone up around here lately. So,
and it is quality content.
I'm saying that wrong. It's not been what's keeping everybody up. It's what everyone here's been watching after they've been kept up by a lot of other stressful bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's our unwinding space. But yeah, we're overly tired. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
I love my mother too, but there's a whole other story there I haven't gotten into on the podcast, and just dealing with a lot of stuff. My mother moved. I may have said this somewhere. My mother recently moved out of her apartment that she lived in, or building she lived in, for over 40 years. So everyone just imagine what that might be like for
a septuagenarian.
Yes.
With health problems.
Yes, yeah. yes. And makeup similar to mine. So I don't know what that says about me. Hopefully I'm never in that situation. I don't intend to live in one place for 40 plus years. So I'm doing okay with it so far.
I think you're doing a great job, all things considered. I think everyone's doing a great job. Poor Diana's really going through it. She really would have liked to be recapping with us this week, but we're not going to bank on that because she is going back to work soon. And her body really needs time to recover. I know you all have been so supportive of Diana and so welcoming, and I know it really means a lot to her, especially those of you who have gone through own fertility journeys. You've been so supportive of Jack and Diana, and
we thank you for that. We really appreciate all the sweet comments and everything. And for those of you that don't know, Diana is an elementary school teacher at a private school here in Los Angeles. So she's about to go back to work week after next, which They say teachers are so lucky because they get that big break, but it is a stressful job, and that break over the summer never seems quite long enough.
And she's been working through the break also.
This is true. She's been tutoring and podcasting for her first times.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you feel if you're picking up any sort of like lag on us or anything, we're okay. We're trying to bring you some happiness, and we're going to get into the flow of things here and get a little happier. But it is, it's one of those weeks right now. And I don't know, mid August it's when the Sunday scaries start for so many people heading into the fall. I don't know. I was surprised this week that the LA Unified School District started school this past Monday, which I don't know. People come at me in the Facebook group or something. I don't know. I grew up in New York City. We went to school from like second week of September until second week of June. I do not understand these new schedules, or maybe I'm just getting old.
Well, you did go to private school, so I think that's a big difference.
Yes. But I will say my friends who went to public school said that they do not ever recall going to school before September 1st in New York.
Yeah. I also want to say, again, no, this isn't to bring it down. So I've talked before on the podcast about trigger warning, loss, grief, etc. A very close friend of mine from high school died in a tragic car accident. I can't do the math in my head right now, but it was August 13th, 2007. And every year on that anniversary, I think about her. I try to conjure up my favorite memories of her and sort of keep her with me in that way. And so with that in mind, I want to dedicate this episode to her, however it turns out, because she was the reason that I went to London and started my life there and took that big, huge risk all on my own. She was the inspiration behind that, so I credit her for that. I have to say, she was so wise before her years, and I always envied her for having figured it all out, like probably by the time she was about 15. She never took anything too seriously. She was always a radiator, never a drain. And I know people are like, elevated in their death, but and anybody listening to this who knew her, who like went to high school with me, you will know she was just the warmest, kindest, most invigorating presence to be around. She was never like so high energy that you were exhausted by it. She and I were like, we did drama stuff together. We were in choir together. We were often up for the same roles and the same solos. And she always took it very gracefully when it was my turn. I didn't because again, I was a nightmare, but we remained very good and loyal friends. And she truly, towards the end of her life, she was a scuba instructor. She loved it. So yeah, for those of you who are lucky to have people like that in your lives, and I'm so grateful for her, it's like, never hesitate to tell someone how much they mean to you, because you never know, tomorrow isn't promised. I don't mean like act like you're planning your own funeral every day. I just mean, if you have the opportunity to tell someone how much they mean to you,
or how much you mean to them,
or
Isn't
how
that
much
more
you
fun?
mean to them, which is a lot more fun.
I do want to, let me just piggyback off of that, because you just made me a little bit emotional. I'm going to talk to a listener out there, okay? One listener in particular, Sasha, my best friend in the whole world, who has never watched a single second of 90 Day Fiance or any of the stuff we cover, has listened to every second of our podcasting since I joined the teams. Sasha, bro, buddy, I know you're listening out there. I love you, man. And thank you for being my best friend for the majority of my life and my life going forward, brother. See, that's what happens here. We're all about feels here.
We are. And I could go on and on in my gratitude and thanking of people. And maybe we need to do that. You know what I missed that I did a long time ago that I'd like to bring back is if you are proud of yourself, or you're like secretly proud of yourself, but you feel like you're not allowed to be, please DM me or us or email us, bladydayfiance@gmail.com, or DM Jack, whatever. It's if we're honest with ourselves, you're more likely to hear about it if it goes to me. But that's only because Jack has his executive skills are only slightly worse than mine.
Wow, look at this.
Come on. We want to celebrate your accomplishments, and we want to shout them out, and we can just use first names and initials, but we really want you to get in that mindset of owning and celebrating your accomplishments, and we want to help you, and we want to shout you out.
Yeah, if you don't have a cheerleader in your own personal life,
yes,
in this parasocial relationship, let us be your cheerleaders.
Absolutely. And there's no catch. You don't have to like join a Patreon.
Nope. I would recommend you get in the Facebook group, though. That's always helpful.
We have a really nice Facebook group.
We do.
Facebook.com/BladyDayBays. Blady is spelled BLIGHTY. Bays is spelled BAES. And now that we're in a much better mindset, I think we can start to talk about this trash.
Now let's destroy our mindset and go through
All right, Jack, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one as we travel all the way to, where do you want to start?
Let me ask you something. At the top of the page here, do you want to save these people at the top of the page for later in the program? The meat of today's episode.
No, I want to get them over with.
Okay, we want to get them over with. Who else could we be talking about than James and Tatha and their adventures over in Cilacap, Indonesia, where we go on a Willy Wonka-esque banana chip factory reveal.
At what point would you have died or been kicked off the ride? That's what I want to know.
Well, I feel like, you can tell.
Not about you.
I was just thinking that the glove situation would have been challenging for me. Big hands. So I understand James there, but I don't know. I was looking at that room and I was just like, that room is 418 degrees.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I would walk in there and I would be like, I would be kissing mom's feet and begging forgiveness because I would not be able to do like even 1 second of that.
It was, yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. We get to see some of the family business here. I wrote James's banana chip apprenticeship begins because that's sort of what it felt like. And sorry, I'm reading your note here, which James needs to announce that he has to use his bare filth hands to make a food product because the tiny, tiny, tiny gloves they have that are doll-sized aren't going to fit him. And I mean, look, I want to give James a little bit of credit, which is hard, and I'm not going to give James large amounts of credit through this, although he's dealing with an impossible situation there. But I don't know, I was sort of impressed with how he kind of threw himself into everything. Like he wasn't being like a milquetoast type of like guy from America, like, ew, ugh, I don't want to touch that. You know, like he was getting into it. He seemed to be giving it an honest shot, but you could feel everything he's doing. He's thinking about like, shit, we got to have this weird conversation with her parents. She's got to translate. That was, I mean, did you see that? That was like on his face, according to me, like the whole time.
He's starting to annoy me a bit.
Tell me why. What was starting to annoy you?
I just don't think, look, I believe that their love is real.
That makes one of us.
I buy all of that. Well, it's interesting that you say that.
I'll tell you why. We'll get to it.
Okay, fine. I just think that it was so irresponsible of him to leave. There's nothing about his behavior that I'm okay with. Like, he is avoidant in the extreme. The fact that he left his family in the lurch, the fact that he's coming there with like very little money.
He does have a $15,000 debt for some sort of like jet engine or something for his car.
I don't even want to go there because my anxiety will hit the roof. It's just like, yeah, and also I understand that we're in a different country, we're in a different culture, we're in a different mindset. Boy, would I love not to be on the hook to a bank or a credit card company. But I live beyond my means, as many of our generation do.
Yes, ma'am.
And guess what? It's not our fault.
Well, you didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps enough, and
Nope, I wasn't born in a place where the rent is like $100 a month. I didn't luck into a whole bunch of inherited wealth. I have very generous parents who have seen me through some difficult times because of all the health problems that I've had, which are probably because of like Kraft mac and cheese, realistically, and the quantities of that I
and
ate.
Plastic. Don't forget plastic.
Sure. And whatever else. I can't watch these two. I don't take any pleasure in any of this at all. I don't think it's funny. And crying sounds like a toddler in pain to me. And there's something deep within my soul.
You have a visceral
I do have a visceral reaction. You've seen it. Yeah. Like, I have to leave the room. It's too much.
Michelle got up and started stretching on a yoga mat today during your scene. I do have to say, I guess all I wanted to say, and I totally understand what you're saying about James, but I feel like he's at least going in kind of like open-minded to a degree. He doesn't look afraid to put in the hard day's work and everything. I just, when he was eating the banana chips, it looked like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom eating
when
soup.
He's eating the monkey brains.
Yeah. Same scene. Yeah.
It's slightly xenophobic.
Extremely xenophobic. Temple of Doom is like basically canceled, but I'm just saying that was the reminiscent eyes I saw on James's face. And I haven't had these. I don't know. The chocolate cheese combination sounds curious to me, but not something I wouldn't try.
It's interesting, because when I'm on the rag, all I want is chocolate, cheese, peanut butter, salt.
But do you want them all together at the same time?
I probably would. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I found these banana chips available on Amazon if you want to give them a shot.
I don't know. I've never had banana chips in that format. I always think of like plantain chips.
I was going to say,
I love.
We were having this little mini debate during the show. If anybody is familiar with Indonesia or is Indonesian themselves and knows, I'm curious if these banana chips are more like plantain chips. Is it more of like a savory kind of vibe instead of a sweet vibe, which is the main difference in America here. So I know you don't want to spend too much time on them, and I'm not going to drive you crazy, but I guess the one part I'd like to just focus on here is when, and I know this, not trying to trigger you, but we gotta cover the show here, Michelle.
All right.
Unless you want to lop these two off of, put them on our do not cover list. Oh, she's thinking about it, gang. But
no, we've already committed. I'm not going to cut anyone.
I just want to know, because you're not loving James, but how did you think he handled himself when four of them, when Tatha and James are talking to her parents, and James is kind of trying to explain that what their situation is. Tata's just translating straight, and she's telling him like, oh, I can't really get involved. I'm translating. But James is sort of like, right, I understand you have to translate, but you are involved here. It's not just my conversation about that I'm moving here. It's that we're moving here. And that seemed to make her lose it. And I was just curious what your read on that whole little bit was.
So I think that she is communicating very poorly. She can't both translate and be in the conversation. I'm a bilingual gal, and I've had to translate in business environments, and I've found that extremely stressful and I think that she just doesn't have the coping skills to articulate that actually, like, my brain is overloaded and I can't respond right now, which you and I have both experienced.
But what do you think? I don't know that James has like a recourse or anything that he should do in this situation. He's trying to communicate. He's telling them what's going on. Her dad says, I'm going to help you forgive your debt and everything. And James does not want to do that. He makes it very clear to us, at least in the ITM, that he's not going to Indonesia to take money from her parents. I mean, I thought he made that very clear.
I think he needs to get a job at a mining company. He's got I don't know if he went to college, but like he knows something about geology. He should do that or teach English in one of the cities. Like they're not going to be able to live in this village forever.
I got the distinct impression that Tatha might want to stay in the village.
I know what
forever.
she wants, and maybe that's where he should leave her and never come back. Because I don't think these two, like I say, I think their love is real. Do I think it's healthy? No.
Question if their love is real, because I haven't. And look, if we had seen more of them in Maine or something in their day-to-day, maybe I'd see it more. But they just don't seem like they communicate. We've seen her constantly upset and crying and sobbing, and he can't really communicate with her. And I guess this is one of those couples where you never hear her say anything nice about James, and James never says anything nice about Tatha. So it's just like, and I'm not saying they don't have nice things to say.
No, we've seen moments where they're like, they were the ones that were like, no universe can keep us apart, that
Words.
kind of thing. Yeah. Sure.
He did get on a plane and move to Indonesia. Move in air quotes there.
Yeah. I'm just mindful of the fact that we have several stops to make, and then we've got to talk about.
Yes. This
ma'am. Isn't a traditional episode length, so we really do have to be careful, for which I deeply apologize. But again, we're playing catch up, and we've got even more to cover this week. So
if we are short on anybody, and you guys, you people have anything to tell us, I didn't mean to just say guys. Hey, all, everybody, folks. If we are short on anybody and we missed any major points you'd like us to cover, please let us know, because we are going to skip around a little bit today.
But Jack only wants to hear from you people. So Sean, now we're going to take the bus all the way over to
Long Island.
Long Island.
Now, now we're talking about Joanne, 43, from Long Island, New York, and Sean, 38, from Dublin. Joanne feels like feels like hundreds of people that I have known in my life coming from that area. So a very comfortable type of vibe from her. Also, unfortunately, her decision-making reminds me of a few people I've known as well.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I really don't think I'm going to get a good feel for these two until I see them together in person, because I'm not understanding the connection here. I'm really not.
Well, this one we really didn't see anything. We got his opener, because it's the first episode they're in, is Sean sober. That's fine. That's just something he makes clear. He's also in some sort of MMA or something. We don't really get a lot. Good for him for sure. But just very quick, all we got is that he loves American Italian women and that he loves her New York accent. Okay. I mean, fair. I guess that is a good portion of her. I won't say it goes real deep below the surface there, but
I love your New York accent.
Yeah? Oh, thanks, sweetheart. That's fantastic.
I love it when you say "and human."
Yes, I love when I say huge and human, and Houston also, unfortunately.
And horrible.
Horrible. That's a big one.
Yeah, because I say horrible.
Hey, when I was starting my voiceover career after being on the Howard Stern show, I had to do something for Florida orange juice, and I couldn't say it that way. I had to talk about Florida orange juice.
Yep.
Hated it. Still sounds bad on my tongue. Doesn't feel right. This is a battle of accents with this couple. We have an almost unintelligible Dublin accent coming through.
That's not a Dublin accent.
Where's he from? Okay, so he's living in Dublin, but clearly not from Dublin, you're telling me.
No, they're saying he lives in Dublin, but he lives in a suburb of Dublin.
I said, someone correct me. I don't know if it's Drogheda or Drogheda. That was, I think, where it said he...
I wish I could still read Irish. It's really bad. If it's like a name, like a person's name, I'm usually really good with it, but I've forgotten what GH sound is in that alphabet. My mother is like super Irish, so that's where I get that from.
We'll have to ask your mother what the answer is. Would she know the answer to this question?
Of course she would. Of course she would. And she'd be deeply, even more disappointed in me than she already is for not
Michelle,
knowing.
I got a surprise. Guess who's calling into the show right now?
No.
Let's just say, so the buried news here. So Joanne has two sons. One's 12, one is 15 or 16. They seem like nice kids. And the big secret here is that she's planning to take the kids over to meet Sean, who she's, quote, dating. The big secret is that they've actually been married for 2 years.
Right?
Yowza.
That didn't bother me because I'm pretty sure, and listeners, please correct me, that this is the first mother ever in the history of this program who gives a shit what her kids want.
Now, I'm going to challenge you on that, because what she did say was, if my boys don't like you, I'm not sure that I could make the move.
All right. Well, she's not, look, come on. She's not going to.
Fine, I'll let you shine your hopeful light on one cast member.
Yeah. She's not going to say to him, oh, if the boys don't get along with you, that's too close to an ultimatum.
True.
You know? And and she's telling the truth. She isn't sure what she's going to do.
Yeah. I appreciated Sean's response, though, because when she's talking to him, and he's in Ireland and she's in New York.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Sorry. So sorry. Thanks for making it a bigger deal than it was. She says, like, hey, Sean, I wonder what's going to happen if the boys don't like you. And he's just like, it's going to be a fucking shit show. What are you talking about? He's like, you've been hiding me. Like, it's not going to go good.
No, she has very poor communication, and she's very avoidant, and that worries me. And
I wonder what's on Michelle's mind today. She's talking about avoidant things a lot today.
I'm just saying.
You called James avoidant, and maybe it's a Jay thing. Am I being avoidant also?
You need to get laid, though, obviously. You're
Go
wound
talk
up
to my wife
tight.
about that. Now, they seem to have some chemistry here, Sean and Joanne. Obviously, they've already been together. They're married. So I feel like they're not really, if they're already married, that's not really what's going to happen of it all. It's really, is she going to move to Dublin, and, her kid's going to like him?
I don't think she will. Did they talk about at any point why he can't emigrate to the U.S.?
I don't know. Did he make any distinction that he won't come here or can't come here? Was that said?
I mean, I'm assuming it's because he's got a half share in that adorable little girl.
Oh, that's right. He has a child. I've completely forgot.
Who
that's
I think is younger than hers.
Yes, I think much younger. I think a small child. Right. So perhaps maybe we're just dealing with something where Sean's not leaving where his young child is.
And again, I hate to sort of give someone a medal for something they're supposed to do.
Something you're supposed to do. Too much office around here, folks.
I know. Just to be clear, he's not imitating Chris Rock. He's imitating Michael Scott imitating Chris Rock.
Thank you, Michelle. If I'm ever doing anything offensive, it's usually me imitating someone else doing something offensive. Fair?
Yeah.
At least on the air.
Sure. In real life, it's a different thing.
Hey, I was raised on a 1990s Comedy Cellar New York humor. It's a tough thing to shake.
And speaking of shaking and vibrating and hitting butts with some kind of drum,
You're talking about someone who can throw that ass? In her own words, that would be Corona and Ingi, Iceland.
That's right. So this is a holiday that I was not heretofore aware of. But I guess you slap someone and they go buy you buns. Never. So I had to start going gluten-free. My doctor told me to go gluten-free in March, and I have been feeling better since doing that. I don't feel better when I see people eat delicious, delicious pastries on my television. But these look incredible. I know I'm skating over the major...
Our household has, in solidarity with Michelle, become mostly gluten-free.
Mostly gluten-free. I'm getting to the point where, you can tell I'm stressed because last night I felt like I needed frozen yogurt at 11:30. And I was thinking immediately after I ordered it, I was like, they have gluten-free donuts in this city, which they have in England too, but you can't get them at 11 o'clock at night.
I was going to say, I think part of you was like, I can order frozen yogurt at 11:30 on Uber
Mm-hmm.
Eats. I think it was just like that. So why not? Let's give it a shot. Let's see. Is it going to show up?
I think everyone was happy.
I was
I
very
think it was a
happy.
good
It
decision.
worked out well. It was my reward for doing some work, some post-production work on this podcast last night. It was my turn.
You were excellent.
Thank you. Okay. Well, let's say I just want to break this down because we can go through them pretty quick. But Corona passed her midwifery exam to get into UPenn, which we have already heard is the preeminent top midwifery school here in the U.S. I don't really know. We opened the show with her saying she didn't want to continue that and didn't want to go to Penn and would rather move to Iceland. So I was a little bit confused, honestly, Michelle, that's where we started with them this week.
So I think you're confusing. I need to stop starting sentences with so. That's something that I picked up in England, and it sounds really fucking condescending and arrogant. I need to not do that.
Not getting
Note
an
to
argument
self.
over here.
I think some admissions thing for she's already got a spot on the in the midwifery program in UPenn. So she's already been admitted, but in order to actually join start, she needs to have passed her, what I understand to be her licensing exam.
Okay, and
do you
need the license to start the midwifery program as far as
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And I think what I was confusing was her outright. I think maybe when she was with her family in that first episode, I think she was just talking about foregoing UPenn. Maybe that's what I was.
Yeah, she was talking about that, and that still seems to be the plan, really. And I agree with her that Ingi doesn't understand the severity of this. I don't know how well she's explained this all to him.
I'll give you a little hint. She hasn't.
Because she's been soft partnering.
And maybe you can go 3 for 3 here. Is she being avoidant?
No.
Okay. We broke the streak. I found her to be, I think she's acting a little avoidant because in the sense, and maybe that's the wrong word. I feel like evasive. I don't know. She's not. So there's soft partnering going on, that term's super fucking annoying. And we were going to drink every time she said it, but then we wouldn't have been able to podcast. So we skipped that part. But I don't know. It seemed like she was just looking for him to provide answers, and he looked really confused. Like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but I want to be supportive. Like, that was sort of like the vibe I was getting. He seems, look, I don't want to make any comments. We don't know him well enough. I don't want to say he's like a dummy or anything, but like, how do you get like a deep vibe off of him?
I just don't think that I do.
And he seems like a nice guy. I think he seems like a nice guy.
Sure. But he's not mature, and he's never been in a relationship before, which means he's never had to consider the complex inner life of another person and how that might come together and intertwine with his own inner life. And she's expecting too much of him. And I think she's doing him a massive, instead of like the soft partnering being for him, seems like she's doing that for her. And she does cast herself in this light that I would find scary, where she's saying, look, I don't.
But even that wasn't like, I don't, she's using colloquialisms and stuff with this Icelandic man where she's saying, I'm going to pop off on you. He doesn't really know like what that means here. He knows, he just says like, oh, well, if you pop off, I'm going to make you laugh. And it's like, almost like, it sounds like he's taking it as like, oh, I might get annoyed with you. Oh, if you get annoyed, I'll make you laugh, and that's not a bad way to go about it. If she's angry and holding a bunch of shit down, which is sort of the vibe I'm getting from her at this point, then it's going to blow up. And I'm not sure that, he's immature, obviously. She's immature in a different way because she's very accomplished and very intelligent, but not emotionally so.
Yes. And I think that I think that were he more emotionally invested, which I don't think he is at this point, I think that would take a very, very, very long time for them to build that kind of intimacy. Then I would say he is going to implode under weight of her expectations of him. But I don't think any of this bothers him because he does, and he says he doesn't understand what she's hiding. She has created that sense of unease, but I don't think that he's going to like attach that to any deficiency or anything wanting on his part. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's going to see it as what's up with her. You know, like that's what it's going to be. I don't even know. Look, we get last thing on them. Just I see that I will say we have something where and sorry if you went over this, but it's when she's explaining what the soft partnering is. He didn't understand what she was saying, and she didn't explain it. Can you just tell me, because I'm trying to understand this. You know more of these terms than I do. Soft partnering. Can you give me a little glossary definition?
No.
As far as what do you here? Okay, Michelle doesn't know what it means. Michelle, can you use your worldly brain to give me a glossary definition from your brain of what you think Corona believes soft partnering is?
Okay, so I'm assuming that term is derived from soft parenting.
Mm.
And soft parenting is my understanding. The premise is that it's child-led, which means you let them make all the decisions for themselves, not for you, but it's based on this model of like, okay, here are the choices you can make, and hopefully they make the right one. And when they make the wrong one, you don't criticize them for it. You just sort of, the worst thing you do is go, okay, you had ice cream for breakfast and now you have a tummy ache and you're exhausted. You know, that's the choice that you made. And so it's called gentle parenting because you're not setting expectations, holding them to that, and then disciplining them when they don't adhere to those expectations. You're kind of, it's sort of fuck around and find out, right? But so I don't really understand how you would apply that to a partnership between equals, because obviously a parent and a child are not equal.
Well, it seems like the Corona's understanding is fuck around and find out, be yourself, and then I'm going to pop off and get really angry at you for being yourself after I explained nothing of what I wanted from you.
Yes. I think that's the biggest mistake. I think the best thing that she could do for him is to say, here is what I need out of a relationship, which she'll never do because she's uncomfortable asking for anything. She's got an incredible work ethic. She's a very high achiever.
For sure.
Terrified of failure. Terrified.
Oh, that's what it is.
So terrified of failure, terrified of rejection. Hasn't dealt with a lot of it, I imagine, except in relationships. And she, yeah, like I said, I think she does herself a huge disservice by not saying, hey, here's what I need out of a relationship. You know, I'd like some affection. I'd like for us to spend quality time together. I mean, you know,
any of that good stuff, right? Something.
Sure. And yeah, like I had to learn that too. And you've had to learn that in your marriage. And it's any long-term relationship, you know, what you need ideally, and you learn what your partner needs and how your partner reacts to situations. And you've been able to tell me many times, oh, when Diana feels like this is what she needs in order to feel happy or secure or whatever. Those kinds of things are really helpful, you know, and you've been able to do the same for me, and it's made it easier for us all to live together and work together.
Aw, thank you. And you're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's rare to have roommates in your 40s for a reason. That's because
you ain't there yet, sister.
Yeah.
Now last thing on them, because I just found this comment from him is not something I would think the person moving to the other country would like to hear. But then this just shows the great divide between them, is that she's ready to move in with him, apparently, and make him her forever person. We have no idea what he's thinking, although we get a little bit of it here, because just the comment here was, I think we should get to know the non-traveling versions of each other. That's a great idea on like the second trip that you're seeing someone, or like maybe like the third time you're getting together, you're far away, maybe they're going to stay for like a month or two, and you're going to get into the flow of everyday life in Reykjavik, and we'll see the non-traveling versions.
They need to fart in front of each other.
Are you saying that's the key to a healthy relationship?
Sometimes you got to pollute the air to clear the air. And speaking of polluted air,
what a segue.
We are going from Iceland to somewhere in the north of England.
Not that far geographically.
Probably a pleasant enough flight.
I have, for opening Statler and Dempsey's scene, I have still in car. So we're still in the cab ride from which we see Statler wake up from this. And Dempsey reminds her, yeah, it was really sweet. I told you to fuck off. You told me to fuck off, and then you fell asleep. Look, we are big Statler fans on this show. I will speak for myself in saying, maybe I could speak for Michelle, but I'll speak for myself. Not a huge fan of Dempsey, from what I see. I don't like the way things are going down. I don't like the seeming lack of understanding that Dempsey has of Statler deep into a relationship at this point.
Yeah, and we don't need to spend a lot of time going over things, but Statler, I'm pleased to see, has changed her way of communicating, and she's made it very clear, today I can't do anything else, right? Which is really an important thing for neurodivergent people to be able to say. Our energy is finite. When we go into burnout, it's very dangerous for our health, not just mental, but physical and everything else. And I have yet to meet a neurodivergent person who doesn't have a bunch of what are called comorbid conditions. So, for example, it's very common for NDs, neurodivergence, to also have depression.
Attention deficit disorder.
Yes, that's a type of neurodivergence.
Gotcha.
Divergence. Yeah.
Okay.
But physical conditions too, heart conditions. I have extremely low blood pressure, so I'm very sensitive to heat. I've got y'all know I have IBS. That's another very common one. And yeah, we need to be very careful with our bodies, because sometimes our bodies don't. And again, this isn't a uniform symptom, but it's something that I have. I think Statler probably has something similar, if not the same. Like, I don't know when I have to go to the bathroom. That doesn't mean that I wet myself or shit myself. I shit myself anyway because of the IBS. But sometimes I don't know that I'm hungry or thirsty until I'm like absolutely starving. And so like I have to set alarms to eat and drink, not because I'm like, oh, this beautiful, delicate, slender bird person, but because I won't eat if I don't have a reminder.
Well, I just want to cut in for 1 second, because I think you're making a really important point here. Diana and I have learned a lot about you and what you need and don't need and what helps you and doesn't help you. But my point in saying that is, we care about you as our friend and my business partner. It was important to us to learn how to best, how to make you feel comfortable, and to see someone's significant other like not be taking that same time to get to know, like, what does my partner need? What can I do for them? How can I make them comfortable? It's just wild. And I thought of that when you were explaining the energy thing, because that was something you told me very early on about your energy and burnout potential. And it was like, okay, clocked. Like, so I'm aware. And, that also leads to like, okay, so if you're seeming like you're in a funny mood or you're getting in a thing, maybe you're just really tired and you need a break. Maybe you need to eat. And maybe I say like, hey, Michelle, what do you need? What will make you feel better? Dempsey, on the other hand, feels like, hey, Statler, what will make you feel worse? I was wondering if I could make you feel worse.
Statler, what do I need to get you to behave and conduct yourself in the way that I need you to behave and conduct yourself? Which, when you think about it, doesn't make sense, right?
Zero.
Why would you ask that of someone you care about? You wouldn't.
No.
Yeah. So, and by the way, Caroline, friend of the show, thank you so much for asking me to post resources, books, websites, those kinds of things. I'm going to do a separate post about that, and I will put it everywhere that's visible when I get around to it, which could be this week, it could be next month. But thank you for that ask, and I am going to come through with that. I just don't want to commit to a time scale right now.
That's fair. I'll keep you. Also, just
that's the blind leading the blind.
I don't talk about this every week like Michelle talks about her issues, but I suffer from anxiety and panic disorder, and I've been managing these things for the better part of 30 years, and with some better results in the past few years, and especially now. Anxiety warriors, come at me, talk to me, feel free, safe space. I understand a lot of different issues. So just that we're trying to open the doors here for everybody.
And he's got really, like, it may not sound like it because he's a heterosexual man, cisgender man on a podcast, but he really is a good listener and he does care. And one of Jack's best traits is that he really does care about helping other people and hearing them out. And he's developed some good coping mechanisms that I've benefited from. And so, yeah, come at him.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That means a lot.
And you can come to me too, but I'm probably more of the person who will be like, yes, I understand that happens to me too, because I haven't figured out fucking anything. And it's anyway.
Are you saying I'm going to be annoying and be like, hey, you want to try this? What about this? How about this strategy?
No, I've tried a lot of stuff. It's like, I need to go back to, I was just doing this treatment that does something with magnets on the forehead. And it's like a Scandinavian thing, but it's being brought onto the British National Health Service. I just paid for it instead of waiting for it. Which, thank you, Mom, right? But that was something where I was like, this isn't doing anything. And having not done it for 2 months, I'm like, wow, that really was doing something. That really was helping me with a lot of stuff.
I will remind you where you are if you're looking for alternative medical type procedures.
No, I know. But
we have everything here in SoCal.
I know, but it comes with a premium.
It certainly does.
I'm not going to be able to get that. Now, I've already started doing this, but the $10 tier is going to get the video of each episode, and that video will be entirely unedited. So we edit for time mostly and awkward pauses and things like that. We don't really edit for content, but lately we've been contenting a lot. So if you want an extra long show, sign up for the $10 tier. You get the vidya.
And you'll get whatever things Michelle decides it shouldn't be in the feed.
Yes, yeah, we're also not doing a sensitivity screening on the $10 tier and above. So
yes.
Anyway,
be forewarned.
Yes, and if you would move up to 15 or 10, and you're on 5, and you're not sure, we're not, putting out the content that you want, just tell us, just leave comments, please, in the Patreon. No one's terribly vocal on the Patreon. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but we really are designing this around you and what you like. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to part 3. We're going to keep it relatively short because,
And you're talking about part 3 of the HEA Reunion House Tell All. No limits.
Yeah. And I'm going to admit I'm already pretty tired of all of this nonsense. I like the stuff in the house.
We got about 8 minutes of
which
this
we got
week.
about 8 minutes of this week. So I'm a little annoyed that there's all this talk about Angela.
I have a suggestion. Well, because I can't. I'm looking at my notes here for Angela and Michael, and I can't go through all of this.
Yeah, we're not.
And I just kind of want to focus. I think we should focus on the PI garbage and kind of poke around. What do you think?
Sure. Look, I'll just say TLDR or TLDW, too long didn't watch, is that Angela hired a private investigator. Shocker. The private investigator didn't find any conclusive evidence that Michael has been
Hold on a second, Michelle. You're talking about in his 189-page report of printed Screen Rant articles.
In the dossier. It did not come out in the dossier. No conclusive evidence that Michael is either cheating,
has cheated, ever thought
about cheating, or is scamming, thought about scamming, etc., etc.
I mean, this is something else. We also have, I'm not going to highlight it because I don't want to say these things. Angela's super fucking racist this week. I'm not going to say she hasn't been racist before, but this felt like some new levels of racism on her part. I will just say, like, one comment saying, things she said, like, you don't know what kind of Nigerian he is. Like, disgusting fucking things like
awful.
This. And this, to me, everybody who listens here knows we're not big fans of Angela. I have no problem with Michael, but I'm not a fan of their story. I don't know. Like, I was watching this. I was kind of driving Diana and Michelle crazy because I was just like, how is she still on? What does she have to do to get canceled? Like, and we're looking into the two biggest stars, quote unquote, of this nonsense house are Big Ed and Angela. And I'm leading a franchise that's just not my cornerstone franchise talents I want.
No, but again, that says more about the audience than it does about them, perhaps, if we're being completely fair and way more diplomatic than we need to be. I personally don't want somebody who... My problem with this whole arc is that she has learned absolutely nothing. Nothing. She said that if the PI didn't find anything, then she would move on and give this up.
In this episode, not in a different episode, in this one.
Instead, her answer is, well, he didn't find nothing because it was too well hidden and he didn't have enough time to find it.
Come on. What?
Fuck off.
What is there? What is her point at this point? Do you think she just like wants to terrorize him to stay on the show?
I don't want to put myself emotionally in the depths of whatever she has on her mind or is dealing with that would put me. I don't think there is anything or anyone on earth that could cause me to behave that way. And I hope there never is.
I will say, looking through things, there is an interesting part where I just see Angela's going to become a cancer of sorts to other people in this show. We have her going up to Jasmine at one point saying that a woman who was messaging Michael also messaged Gino, but Gino was too smart to fall for it. Like,
Gino wasn't too smart to fall for it. He just obviously wasn't into whoever it was.
He was like, oh, my type. I mean, just the screaming, her histrionics and absurdity. It's not funny. It's not charming. It's not entertaining. It's honestly, for me, it's just triggering, and it feels like I'm being screamed at by an upset woman from rural Georgia. And that's not a feeling I like too much. I do, just to finish them up, because I know you want to move on, but my hero of the Tell All house had a nice comment about Mike and Angela, the hero being Rob. Don't know how this happened, but Rob asks everyone to imagine being in Mike's shoes and how he's done nothing, and says we can't all act like he's still scamming her.
Right?
Like, Rob, look at the big brain on Rob.
Ugh. Whereas Big Ed is like, hey, brother, Michael.
So bad. Oh my God. Last guy you want on your side, Big Ed.
This absolute fucking rotten chicken nugget of a human.
They have lunch. Nothing really happens except Ed tapping Michael. Moving forward, if you want to keep up this pace?
Yeah, let's just go to Rob and Sophie. So they're not sure what's next. There are several issues raised that to me don't merit too many comments. I will say that I'm in the if it's yellow, let it mellow camp. I'm not trying to wake people up at 2:30 in the morning when I have to pee. That's just stupid. Obviously, when I'm a guest in someone else's house, that's very different. And I wouldn't have expected that. I think she has basic manners and wouldn't do that in the.
I feel like Rob kind of was letting it go here because he just doesn't seem like the type of guy from what we've seen. I just don't see him getting upset about pee in a toilet, like not being flushed. Maybe.
Maybe if your toilet was inside, Rob. How about that?
Well, he does. It was so petty, though, because it's one of those things. It's like, clearly it's not about if you flush your pee down the toilet. That's not the issue.
Speaking of which, I just have to bring this up. I talked a long time ago about Emily wanting to decorate her house with nude photos of herself giving birth. My parents rented a house for several months up in Western Massachusetts where that was the decor. The landlady had several completely fully nude photos of herself giving birth.
You're talking about with parts exposed?
With parts exposed.
Okay.
Yes. And look, if nude photography is your thing, great.
Would you say there's a difference between nude photography and graphic nude photography?
Sure. But also, if I'm renting a house to tenants, I might think, is me giving birth something that the tenants need to see on their walls all over the house every day, all the time?
That's interesting, because I would say, like, it could be exhibitionism if someone just has nude pictures of themselves. Like, I want people to see pictures of me.
Sure.
But specifically the giving birth part feels a little extra.
I feel like that's a lot more than look at me. You know,
Is it more like, look at me?
Yeah, that's aggressive.
How'd that stay go at that house?
It was very cold, and
You could tell from the woman.
Then you could tell by the wall, stuff on the wall. My parents then moved into another rental again in Western Massachusetts, upstate New York, border kind of area, where the theme, yes, I have photos that my mom sent. The theme was outhouses. So the bathroom.
That was the theme?
Yeah. So everything had, like, the kitchen had a little tiny, like, bird-sized outhouse in it. There were pictures and paintings of outhouses everywhere. The bathroom had a shower curtain that was covered in outhouses. And, like, there was an outhouse on top of the toilet. It was...
That one's kind of cute. I like the outhouse on top of the toilet.
Sure. But, like, again, that's your theme. That's what you want people to think about in the kitchen and every, like, living
I like to
space.
think about. I want people thinking about open raw sewage all the time.
I mean, God, right? Anyway, so speaking of pieces of shit, Kay. Look, I'm not going to comment on her sexuality. If that's how she identifies, then I have no choice but to believe her.
But
she is a very bad friend. She has said that she wanted to marry Sophie.
That was my but, was I want to marry that girl. I would treat her so good, ...
Yep.
That's a direct quote from an earlier episode. So I'm not calling into any question into anything either, but I feel like things she said have made things a little confusing listening to her. Okay.
I agree with Ashley when she tells Sophie that this is all, that the stuff that happened at the club in Kansas City with Emily Ratajkowski.
Michelle thought that the woman who was hitting on Rob looked like a really off-brand version of Emily Ratajkowski.
She looked like Mouse Ratajkowski.
Mouse Ratajkowski. Listen to our Love is Blind coverage for what?
More on Mouse Rat. Yeah.
Mouse Rat.
Yeah, look, this is... Anyway, Ashley said, you know, if you shouldn't have moved out, if you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have moved out and been apathetic towards his actions. And
right.
That is true. Rob can't fix this. Sophie can't fix this. No one can fix this. They
shouldn't be together.
That's absolutely correct. Also, I almost fell out of my seat when she said, the only thing we haven't tried is therapy. Why didn't you try that first? I mean, you went to the one, at least they're not pretending that they did therapy. Like, remember when Darcy pretended that she did therapy because she went once?
For 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, at least they're not pretending that. But what, I really don't understand this. The other thing that comes out, which is, it's this like stupid back and forth. We have the big reveal that Sophie has been with women in her past. What the only thing I found kind of amusing about this is Sophie's a view on time. And I understand she's young. I forgot exactly how young, but she's not more than what,
She's
23?
like 20, excuse me, 23.
It's just she's like, Rob, that was so long ago. That was when I was 19. And it sounds funny when you get to be a little older. And I get it. It's different at different ages.
You know what, though? When I was 21, I also felt like 18 was a lifetime ago.
For sure.
Same when I was 23, I looked at 21 and thought I was so immature back then.
Do you think that Sophie is growing intellectually
in
the same ways?
Nope.
Right.
I don't think she's growing at all. She's not. The only thing that's growing is this poisonous resentment, and I don't like them together. I got more time for Rob now than I ever thought I would, and I can't believe that he is often the voice of reason when it comes to his own relationship and others. I think Rob might have gone to therapy.
Right? I was going to ask you, like, what happened? Because I told you when we were watching this that it really feels like since he went home and had that birthday in Kansas City and saw his old friends and saw his mom and everything, I feel like since then that was like the turning point on the show where Rob starts feeling a little bit different when you're watching him.
Well, this is not going to be a popular take, but I'm putting it out there anyway.
Please do.
I think straight, cisgender men who date women, I should say, when a woman knocks their confidence in any respect, but particularly the primal sort of provider, lover, kind of husband, if you like, sense, and just because Sophie annihilated his ego and he annihilated his own ego. And I think having that time where he just felt attractive again and was around people who liked him, I think that brought him back to himself a little bit.
That's a really interesting take. You didn't share that with me, and I agree with it. And I guess maybe that's off of kind of what I was saying about him going home and seeming. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's almost like, to me, it feels like Rob realized who he is again, in a sense. Like, he's not this guy who doesn't talk and has no emotions. It feels, looking back, and I'm just throwing it out there, feels like Rob may have been very depressed going through this process.
Oh, for sure he was depressed. And she's depressed. I think the difference is that, and I can't fucking believe I'm saying this, he's not in an echo chamber where everyone's telling him that he's right and how awesome and wonderful he is.
Right.
But she is surrounded exclusively by enablers who don't challenge her at all.
You're speaking mainly about her mother and
Kay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's true. I think that is fundamental. I think when, it's a fact that men who get divorced tend to remarry faster than women do. And I honestly believe, as someone who remarried myself and married a man who was also remarrying, I think once men find themselves again and find that confidence again, and this is to say, no, I'm not saying, it's like the woman's responsibility to do this or whatever, but I think sometimes it's like that confidence can't be trivialized or underestimated because it is the air that you breathe sometimes. And I think for women, we tend to not as comfortable seeking that out. And so we're not necessarily going to go for a guy who gives us that confidence and sense of self back. Although if it comes into our lives, that might be a threat, I
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have not been in that situation, not divorced, but,
you've been separated.
I've been separated, which we've talked about on here. And yeah, when your confidence gets dinged enough times, sometimes a little refresher on who you are. Because, we all can lose ourselves and become worse versions of ourselves in long-term relationships. And I'm not saying you need to have a break, but sometimes if you do have a break, you can take some real positives away from something like that. And I think in this case on the show, I think Rob did take some things away. They're just not great for his current relationship, except to maybe end it. And we have Sophie says herself towards the end that she thinks Rob is amazing and lovely, but together they're not good.
Yeah, she's right. If only she could take a little bit of accountability for that.
Well, it seemed like she just ran away, wants Rob to fix everything, and she doesn't really have to do anything. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting. I don't believe that she actually believes that deep down, but that's what we're being provided so far.
Yes, and sadly, she's chosen the Nikita Khrushchev technique, and she has, not literally, but in her own way, said to Rob, "I will bury you."
Now, when you say that, how do you mean she said that, but in not so many words?
Well, she's brought out this irrelevant shit like this. She's like, just got a voice note of Rob telling someone else. By the way, I love that. The reason I love that quote is because, and I'm going to go full nerd on you for a second, so please.
Which quote?
The Nikita Khrushchev quote.
Gotcha.
"We will bury you."
Yes.
Is because it speaks to how important context is, because in Russian, what that expression means is like, this was during the Cold War, obviously.
Yes,
we will bury you.
Yes.
It doesn't mean like we're going to put your bodies in the ground. It means will be the victors of history, and it's our culture and our story will be the one that dominates and survives, and you're going to get buried. So for all you nuance of language folks out there, come at me if you've heard another phrase like that.
Let's make a whole quote collection and how it can be applied to this cast.
Well, another Russian quote that I love is, "Stop putting spokes in my wheels."
Oh, that's a good one. You were telling me...
Stop putting sticks in my wheels.
Sticks. You need spokes, but you want no sticks in your wheels.
Yeah.
And so does this rate higher than Ivan Drago's "I Will Break You" from Rocky 3?
Oh boy. Do you want to talk about any of this house bullshit? Because I don't think anything really happens.
Okay, yeah, because that was... And keep in mind, everybody,
we cut out...
Gratefully don't cover Patrick and Thais because they're really annoying to us. So that's why this section's a little shorter. I'm just looking. We have nonsense in the commercial break. And the only thing for the house, really, that I think is worth talking about is just... there becomes a little gang up on Ed in the hot tub, which is really kind of slow building. Doesn't really go anywhere because we already know that no one likes Ed.
What does it smell like in that hot tub?
I would say it smells sort of like raw poultry that's been sitting in a sort of like tepid bath of water.
See, I'm thinking something different. I think Ed wears Drakkar Noir, and he's really proud of it.
He gets the off-brand though from like Walgreens.
He gets the what was the
Night Swept.
Night Swept. It smells like Night Swept whey protein farts, which are very like eggy.
Pat's
in there.
Yeah. Does it smell well? But now we do have Thais is in there. She may smell good.
I think she smells incredible.
What does she smell like?
I think
I can't say because it's inappropriate. What do you think she smells like?
I think she smells like really yummy rum.
Ooh.
And like some floral scent over that. But I think the base note is rum. I think she smells like sweet and boozy and very sexy.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
She'd appreciate that, I think. I believe you and Diana saw her post baby body and both yelled "fuck you" at the TV.
Yes, we did. Yep.
And anything else here? We have, it was Thais and Sophie kind of ganging up on Ed a little bit. And then, I mean, the rest, I don't know. Liz is kind of like talking to Ed again. And then we just have nonsense of Kobe talking to Thais and John, which we don't really talk
about hugging or something. Yeah, look, I don't know. I think it's the only other thing I want to mention before we wrap up is that I love how Jasmine can see her own behavior in other people, but not connect it at all to her own behavior.
I just know you have a great point there. What do you call that? I was trying to like think of like what is that when you are, or maybe it's just damage, but when you can see what you're doing and point it out in other people, but you don't have that ability to see it in yourself. What kind of issue is that?
Borderline personality disorder, undiagnosed.
Fair enough. Maybe that's why it feels familiar.
And as Maddie Mars says, if you spot it, you got it.
Yes. Maddie's right.
Although, in fairness, I think everyone can spot Angela's behavior, and fortunately, not everyone's got that.
The last thing is just our quote cliffhanger for the week was this nonsense you mentioned, which is like not a cliffhanger, is about Sophie getting the voice note that she sent her mom, and it's all like Rob telling a girl like, sure, if you're in LA, we can have dinner. And then he does make a point of saying he was real delicate about it, but he said, like, I was like, hey, everyone, it's just if Sophie looked at the picture, it would be someone she'd know I was not attracted to. So that's the cliffhanger. This being stretched into 5 parts feels a little long. I think it probably could have done 3.
3 at the most.
Yeah. Because we're running low at this point.
Yeah.
I would have liked more House, to be honest.
Me too.
Because that was the most fun part of the first couple of episodes.
Yeah. Watching people kind of not on their guard and not having that whole artifice.
But even that shit was kind of destroyed by them allowing Angela to run amok all over the place.
I know. No one can say a word to her.
So, it's a tough one, but I'm excited because we have 5 episodes of Love is Blind to watch, which this is the part about, because yes, I was a little low energy on our Love is Blind show because I don't love the pods. Get a little tired.
I don't either. I get really fed up of it.
But we're heading into the meat of it, which I enjoy when the couples start meeting each other and we get to see the people who, quote, broke up from their very serious pod relationships when they get to meet each other in person. So I think those are going to be more high energy than they were the other day.
I'm going to propose a different way to end the show.
Well, that wasn't how I was ending the show.
No,
but chat a little bit.
I know. I'm going to propose. This is something that I did with fans of Dr. Adam, who I hope to have on the show again, who did the Sister Wives Professor podcast. He's a friend of the show. Absolutely adore him. If you're listening, Adam, we miss you so. And I'd love for you to be back on the show. We played a Would You Rather that was pretty legendary, and I wondered whether I could do that with you, Jack. So, I'll give you one and you give me one, and then we can sign off.
Is this the one Diana gave you yesterday? Oh, no, never mind. That was another
Office.
No,
that's a different thing.
That was The Office again.
Yeah.
Okay, please, go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead.
Okay. Would you rather be in a relationship with Angela, cheat on her, and then have her find out about it, or be in a relationship with Sophie, online cheat on her, and have her find out about it?
Okay, now obviously,
and let's say you dated each one for 3 months.
Okay, thank you. The time limit's important there. I have more I have equal experience in various parts of my life with women like Angela and women like Sophie.
I'm so sorry.
Not all romantic partners, but experience with women like this. I don't know that my nervous system could handle Angela, but I also am not sure that my emotional system could handle Sophie's shutdown and inability to speak. I think, though, that while they're all annoying, the online cheating thing is that, to hear that, every time you get into anything, just hear that being thrown at you, we're like, I didn't even do anything. I understand some people don't view it that way, but not doing anything versus I guess, I'll answer it this way. I don't want to be in either relationship, but I'd rather deal with Angela and have a PI find out that I'm hiding absolutely nothing. And then I can go, the PI you hired found nothing. I'm out.
That's because he didn't have enough time to find everything on you, Jack.
Throw in some Jewish slurs there, and then you'd be Angela.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd pick Angela as much as I hate that you made me say something where I would pick Angela, but I think the 3-month thing is really key. And also, you don't have to have sex with either of them in this situation.
That's
it's not
right.
going to happen. So yes, you know what? I'd pick being locked in the house with Angela's grandkids for 3 months over dealing with Sophie in any respect.
I'm not trivializing Angela's behavior. I just thought those were the two kind of most difficult relationships for Jack to be in. And so I wanted to give him one of those.
And I will say, of course, you're not trivializing anything. And we do everything with a big dose of fun around here.
So now you give me one.
Okay. Would you okay, I gotta take a couple of people off the table here. Would you rather be in a relationship with Rob and deal with the outdoor toilet and his online cheating? Or would you rather be in a relationship with Patrick and need to deal with Patrick's way farts and John as your brother-in-law?
Well, John and I would get along famously. That would not be an issue.
Sure you would. He's from Boston.
That wouldn't be an issue at all. But I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would choose Rob with the outdoor toilet simply because there can't deal with Pat on any level. There's nowhere I could meet him. I don't like him as a person and I find him physically unappealing. Whereas Rob, at least he's cute, and as long as we didn't talk that much, it would probably be fine.
So famous IBS sufferer Michelle would rather deal with running to an outdoor toilet.
Hey, it's easier. He doesn't have to hear anything. That's the one advantage. Not that I'd be trying to impress him either. I also really like his dog.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Hey, Rob's a fellow Angelino again. So, maybe we'll see Rob around town.
No, we will not. I'm not available for that.
Hold
Jack.
on a second. I need to change my plans for later tonight. Hold on. I seem to make a call. A mega episode wrap up.
My name is Michelle, and I don't answer.
My name is Jack, and I just think you should hug your brother-in-law.
We love you.